Is Birmingham the first city to fall?
Oh, interesting. I mean, arguably cities have already fallen, Bradford and, places like that. There already are cities that have gone. I haven't been to Birmingham properly for a long time. So
I've seen these videos online. You see every now and then of just like people carrying like dead cows on their shoulders and halal stuff going on and just riots and things. That's every time I see a video of Birmingham.
Really? I've not even seen it.
Yeah, it's just nuts. And now there's been the rubbish stuff. Have you seen all the rubbish everywhere on the streets?
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, what has happened to that city?
It's a disgrace. And do you know what's really angered me about and again, this is where you can tell that people are in the country who have no sense of ownership or loyalty to the country. Because I would imagine that once upon a time, when we lived in a high trust integrated society, when there's the lack of bin collections, the community gets together to try and minimise the impact. What we've got now is a load of people going, oh, look, there's some festering bins. I'm going to chuck this soiled mattress on top.
Yeah.
Out goes this crap fridge. And I just think if you don't look at the bones of the place around you and see it as the society, the civilization, the infrastructure built by your parents, their parents, their parents, their parents, when you don't get that sense of this is ours and we belong to it and therefore we want to preserve it, it's a bit like, when some people go to an Airbnb and trash it because they just think, yeah, I'm paying, someone else is going to come clean it up. Or leave a hotel room in a mess. Most people, when they check out of a hotel room, have left it in a condition they wouldn't leave their bedrooms, like that in the morning. You
don't need an ethnic lineage in a place to not treat. If I go on holiday to Spain or India or wherever, I'm not chucking stuff out the window, although they do. I've seen videos of this as well. It is apparently policy in first class trains that go across India. The people working there, they just gather all the rubbish, chuck it out in the
India. There's a fascinating. I love India. I used to live in India and I adore India. But there's this really fascinating thing online, a challenge where people say go onto Google World and try and drop your pin in India, do a 360, and if there's no rubbish anywhere,
Wow.
And you can't do it. You can play the game for hours. You just drop a pin in the middle of nowhere in India. You go, oh yeah, look, there it is. It's
rubbish.
Yeah,
it's just a difference, and I don't know. Well, I mean, some of the other issues that you spoke about, I think, in this documentary were FGM going on, the issues with halal here. What's going on?
Yeah, halal is that's where and it's a very difficult circle to square, so to speak. When I say, look, I personally would like my animals to be pre-stunned before slaughter because I think it's less cruel, then it brings in kosher, doesn't it? So but
it's just as right to criticise that.
Yeah.
I imagine kosher is the same as, I don't even know enough about it. I'm Jewish, but I'm an atheist. I don't know all that stuff. If it is done the same way as halal, it needs to be outlawed right this second. And the number of Jews who are actually kosher is a very, very small number of them. I know loads of my friends growing up were Jewish. I didn't know any kosher Jews. Obviously they exist. Those are the more orthodox. And I would criticise them as much as I'd criticise, or not as much, but almost as much as Islam, if they made up 10% of the country. But they don't right now. They're a tiny, tiny percentage. Yeah. I was going through Twitter and I saw for a split second, oh, what's this? It was a cow, and I saw what they were doing, and I can't get the image out of my mind. I quickly went past it, but it was too late. What they do.
Oh God, I couldn't.
It is beyond barbaric, and that's not a comment. I think most people watching who are not vegetarians or whatever, fine. What you said, stun them, do everything as humanely as possible. If it's kosher the same, get rid of it.
If you're going to be a meat eater, which I am, I bloody love my meat. But I insist on high standards of welfare because we are the custodians of the world. And most people would find it very difficult to go and kick their neighbour's cat. And yet they'll go and buy cheap meat from a supermarket and not question its provenance and how that animal's been reared. And I think that, again, we're going down a completely different route, but we live in a self-indulgent society where people will buy, a pack of 6 cheap chicken breasts and cook a couple and then leave them in the fridge and then go, oh, they're going a bit green, and throw them away. I cannot throw away meat. To me, that's an animal's life that is just being routinely discarded because I can't be bothered because I didn't get around to cooking it. I really find it, and even I cooked a big piece of lamb last night for dinner and there's leftover lamb. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I've just got a bowl full of shredded lamb. And so when I get home after this, I'm kind of thinking to myself, right, maybe I'll make little pasties. All I know is that lamb, it's not loads, but that lamb is going to be used again because I just think the idea of throwing away meat really cheapens
the life of the animal.
The reality of what's gone into creating that meat.
It's horrific. And you know, it really, it's upsetting. And I think most people are upset by that. They just don't want to think about the actual cruelty and what's involved in it. And as you say, it doesn't mean you have to be a vegetarian or anything like that. You do your thing, but those conditions for the animals, I think most people are on board with that.
We actually have brilliant welfare standards in the UK. We've got some of the best farming practices in the world. I mean, we don't support our farmers enough. I haven't just sort of jumped on the protect our farmers because of the inheritance tax. I've for a long time had it sort of the sort of buy British local farms mentality.